Hello students, my name is Saurabh Pant. I teach chemistry in Sri Chaitanya Goshala campus, and from last few days we are dealing the nitrogen and oxygen family now, and now we entered into the oxygen family in the last lecture with oxygen, dioxygen. Very simple, beautiful, easy topic. We realized that platinum, palladium, gold, they do not react directly with the oxygen. We saw the preparation methods also. Reactions are all simple there, so they will come later on in the contact process also, whichever the extra reactions were there. But today I'm going to start with the oxides, a quick recapitulation of your periodic table of junior inter, ending part, as well as which I told you in the last, I think third last or fourth last lecture. You can understand now. So understand, metal oxides are basic in nature. Sir, why metal oxides are basic in nature? Because metal oxide, they go in water and they form their hydroxide and they can release the OH minus. For example, Na2O in water, NaOH formed, CaO in water, calcium hydroxide formed. So they are generally basic in nature. But one more logic we understand in periodic table, that if the oxidation state is more, the acidic nature of the oxide is also more. So understand, now metals are supposed to be basic, but as the oxidation state increases, acidic nature will increase, and as soon as the oxidation state become +6 or +7, that is enormously high for anyone. In such a high oxidation state, even metal will start acting like acids. Example, Mn2O7 is in +7 manganese here, CrO3 chromium is in +6 here. They form acid, they are acidic oxides. In fact, V2O5 +5 I kept in a bracket. Why? You will understand. V2O5 vanadium is +5. He is acidic amphoteric. That means he is majorly acidic, but sometimes he has a magical property of acting with a base also. That means he is majorly acidic, but can also act like a base sometimes. So we call it acidic amphoteric. By the way, what is amphoteric? Someone who reacts with both acid as well as base, someone having such a beautiful property of reacting both with acid and base. Such person is called amphoteric. Sir, what about someone who does not react with both of them? Such people are called neutral. So CO, NO, N2O are neutral oxides. Only these are the neutral oxides in your course. That means when these people go in aqueous medium, they neither form oxyacid nor they form hydroxide. So they remain as it is. In fact, they are negligibly soluble. They all are gases only. Chaliye, going ahead. So V2O5 is acidic amphoteric. In this chapter, acidic given, but in D and F block chapter in NCERT, it is given as acidic amphoteric. So the better answer will go with the acidic amphoteric part. Now, I'm going to tell you the acids that MnO27 and CrO3 make. Sir, why are you telling this acid? Is there in the NCERT? It's not there, but it is there also. How? Do you know this thing? Have you ever met these two people? Say hi. KMnO4, K2Cr2O7, potassium permanganate, potassium dichromate. Bhaiya, these people are the people that you have read for so many days, and today you will understand this very easily, that bhaiya, whenever we have the name as ic acid, remember, the anion used to be 8. So if it is potassium permanganate, that means there is someone known as permanganic acid there, some permanganic acid would be there. If this is dichromate, that means there is some acid known as dichromic acid there. And his anion is there, that's what you are calling it, dichromate, and MnO4 minus permanganate. So who are those acids? So bhaiya, sakshat, here they are. HMnO4 is permanganic acid, and the salt of MnO4 minus is called permanganate. Ic acid, 8. K2Cr2O7 is dichromic acid, and that is why their anion is known as dichromate. Understood this beautiful idea? Sir, here you said dichromic acid. Chalo, there are two Cr, we understand. Sir, here you said permanganic acid. Why per? Let's recap that part also. I told you, highest oxidation state I use per dash 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 ic, lower ic, even lower OS, and the lowermost will be known as hypo-OS. So if you understand here, when to use per ic? Per ic will be used when there are 4 oxy acids possible. And when they are possible, let's see. In +6, chromium has highest +6. Is it possible? Let us check. 6, 2 less, 4, 2 less, 2, 2 less, 0. That means +6, +4, +2. There are only 3 oxy acid possible. So the highest uncle is going to be ic acid. That's why I used chromic acid, and for 2 chromium, dichromic acid. Similarly, for manganese, we have 7 +7 oxidation state. So understand, 7, 2 less, 5, 2 less, 3, 2 less, 1. So 7, 5, 3, 1. That simply means that in this case, what do we have? We have per ik plus 7, ik plus 5, overs. This way we have to go. So the plus 7 will be named as per ik acid. Luckily for us, manganese in lower oxidation state is not acidic. So we don't have to use any other name except like per ik. So ik overs and hypo overs is not necessary. But here because plus 7 was there and plus 7 people are named as per ik. That is why we are naming it as permanganic acid. Non-metal oxide goes in aqueous medium. Already we have discussed, from oxy acid in the same oxidation state. So this part we have already discussed in the previous lecture also. Now let's start with the amphoteric part. So aluminium oxide or aluminium metal is also amphoteric. He can react with both acid as well as base. Remarkable property. Alumina, how it react with the acid? Simple. He forms aluminium chloride first, AlCl3. Now water will displace the Cl minus from there, and the Cl minus will come outside the box and water will go inside. If you have read the coordination compounds, you will easily understand this kind of a compound is called complex compound, coordination compound. If you have not read by this time, just you can remember the structure. As soon as complex compound will be dealt, you will easily understand that water is a stronger ligand and bhaiya he will displace the Cl minus there. What would happen if OH minus come? Very beautiful reaction happen here. Love it. OH minus comes and he attract the H plus from the water here. So OH minus attract the H plus. So how many H plus will be attracted? 6 water are there. So 6 H plus got attracted. So what will happen? All the 6 water can become here 6 OH minus. So AlOH whole 6, 3 minus will be formed. Also when Al2O3 react with the NaOH, then also same thing happens. OH minus comes inside and AlOH whole 6, 3 minus will be formed. Also in P block chapter, in the junior inter, that means it is in boron family. In boron family, you have read that bhaiya AlOH whole 4 minus is formed. So then which one is correct? Better answer is AlOH whole 4 minus if these two options are available. Otherwise, this one also works fine. Why, sir? Reason is very simple. Imagine if you have AlOH whole 4 minus formed already and one more OH minus is coming, na? This will be repelled away. So getting AlOH whole 6, 3 minus is extremely tough when the OH minus is coming due to repulsion. That is why the reaction usually stops at AlOH whole 4 minus. But when the concentration of NaOH is very high, na, in that case you can write OH minus 6 here inside also. That means the repulsion can be overcome when the concentration of OH minus is more. So let us start with the ozone. Ozone is very famous because it is there at the upper atmosphere there, saving us from the UV light. It's a very famous gas, but it is not found in the lower atmosphere. You might not see ozone around you. You can't see any gas around you, but you will not observe ozone around you. Why? Because ozone is highly reactive. It is too reactive that it decomposes at this temperature. So at a very cool temperature up there, ozone can be stable, but it is too reactive here. So it highly reactive nature of ozone makes him to break into oxygen gas at the lower atmosphere. So it is unstable at lower atmosphere, so not found here in the lower atmosphere. Sir, what if some ozone is made in the lab? Then what will happen? Then bhaiya, it is very dangerous. More than 100 ppm of ozone is extremely dangerous. Irritation in the eyes will happen. It's a very big oxidizing agent also, so your skin might also get affected. So try to be aware of ozone, little bit sideways you can take. Now, ozone, what's the color? Just think, understand how the color you have to remember. Ozone you have to remember as a blue color gas. So when it is gaseous, it is blue in color. When it comes closer, the color becomes darker, that is dark blue color will come in the liquid state. Further closer, color becomes further darker, so violet black color comes in the solid state. So very simple, it's actually bluish in color. So when it is far away, it looks like pale blue. Comes together as a liquid, looks like dark blue. Come together as a solid, even more closer, looks like a violet black solid. Going ahead, boiling point of ozone is 161 Kelvin. Now it's a very controversial thing. I do not discuss boiling points and all because I expect you are reading the NCERT, you will be getting that through these things very thoroughly. Here is the need. Now NCERT, if you see the edition of NCERT of 4 years back, they mentioned around something 350, 360 Kelvin as the boiling point, which is very logical. It is a gas at room temperature, so the boiling point cannot be more than room temperature. So that was wrong. Then around 2 years back, NCERT made some correction and finally they gave the correct answer as 161 Kelvin. After that, I don't know what happened to the typist there, something happened, I don't know. they converted 161 by mistake to 101 Kelvin, and now that is wrong. So understand the answer given in the NCERT might be different as per your additions based. You can check your NCERTs also. If it is 161 Kelvin, lucky you are. If it is 101 Kelvin, make it 161 Kelvin because that's the boiling point of ozone. So should we change the NCERT? If NCERT has been printed correct at any point of time and some printing error happened here, so there is no problem in changing the NCERT due to NCERT itself. So the correct boiling point is 161 Kelvin. Going ahead, now O2 is converted to ozone and this conversion is only 10%. I'll explain why, but this conversion is only 10%. So the product you get contains maximum to maximum 10% ozone and 90% oxygen. So rather than ozone, the product is ozonized oxygen, that is a combination of O2 and O3. Now, this reaction is endothermic because ozone is less stable as compared to O2. So ozone is less stable, so energy is required to make ozone. Simple, if I am O2, I am more stable, I am making O3, why will I make? Why will I make something unstable? So you give me energy, you bribe me, you give me some bribe, I might do it. But don't worry, I have a very high moral. This O2 does not have sufficiently high morals. So what they will do? They will give energy to O2 and O2 will agree, okay, theek hai yaar, you are giving me energy, I will make O3. Chalega. Apart from that, what happens to entropy? From 3 gas, you will be getting 2 gases. So number of gas decrease, randomness decreases. So entropy change is negative. Delta S negative means randomness decreases. So delta H positive, delta S negative, what happens? Simple yaar. We know the thermodynamics part very happily. Delta G is equals to delta H minus T delta S. If delta H is positive, delta S is negative, that means minus T delta S will be positive. So delta S negative, minus T delta S positive, delta H also positive, both are positive, so delta G is going to be positive, so delta G is always positive. And delta G positive means Baga Chadda, highly non-spontaneous reaction. That is why max to max by God's grace 10% is happening. You should say thanks for it because it's a non-spontaneous reaction. You have to give energy from outside, then only the reaction will happen, and that to around 8 to 10% conversion. Now question arises, so if the energy is required from outside, so what I will do, I will take O2 and I will heat it. Sounds logical, but it's very illogical thing to do. Why? Imagine, it should not happen, but if some person touches by mistake, let's say I touch a live wire, I'll get the electric shock, but as soon as I remove my finger and I touch something else, that thing will also get a shock, kya yaar? No. On the other hand, that means there is no retention of the electric shock. I got the shock, I removed my hand, shock is over. Whereas imagine if I touch a hot vessel, like this, and then I touch you with that finger, will you be able to feel the heat? Yes, sir, a little bit heat will be there. So heat remain. So what happens when you heat oxygen to make ozone, ozone will be formed, but with the leftover heat, ozone will break again to form O2. Chamka bhaiya. So bhaiya, to prevent that decomposition, to prevent this decomposition, we have to use silent electric discharge, give an electric shock, khatam. O2 became O3, game over. O3 will not get any further shock. On the other hand, if you heat O2, O2 becomes O3, but the residual heat converts O3 back to O2. So to prevent that, silent electric discharge is used. If you want more than 10% concentration, what to do? This conversion occurs in a cylindrical tube like this, and this is called an ozonizer, let us say. So if O2 is sent here, ozone comes out here, only 10%. So connect a series of such ozonizer one after the other. So more than 10% you can get, and such series of ozonizers are known as battery of ozonizers. Just like the batteries of cell is known as battery, the series of cell, when the cells are arranged in series, are known as battery. In the same way, when the ozonizers are arranged in the series, they are also known as battery. So use the battery of ozonizer for more than 10% concentration if you wish so. Ozone gas can be condensed in a cylindrical tube, and it is surrounded by, from outside, it is surrounded by the liquefied oxygen. So liquefied oxygen will be able to easily condense the ozone gas getting formed in case you want to store. Dekho, gases if you want to store, na, logical idea is there, store as a liquid, because as a liquid, molecules will be closer, they will occupy lesser space. That's why to store the ozone in your labs, because it's not useful in the surroundings, so store in the lab only for some reactions. What we do, we liquefy it using the liquid oxygen around the vessel. It acts like a coolant and ozone get condensed. Talking about the reactions of ozone, bhai sahab, ozone in your course is world rank 2. World rank 2. What, sir? Which game he played? Which exam he wrote? He wrote the exam of oxidizing agent. So, bhaiya, ozone is the second best oxidizing agent in your course after fluorine. Sir, is there someone else also above fluorine you are saying in our course? Huh. But let's not go there because perzenic acid is there, SRP value wise better than fluorine. But let's not go there because otherwise we'll be violating some lines of NCERT. So, fluorine is the best oxidizing agent for the reactions. And the second best oxidizing agent is ozone. Sir, this perzenic acid you were talking about, is it there anywhere in the NCERT? Yes. Where? Search. That day you will be able to search it in the NCERT. That means you are reading the NCERT very well. So, task I am giving you, search for this perzenic acid reacting with fluorine. Some reaction is there. But anyway, let's carry on. So, ozone right now is the best oxidizing agent after fluorine. That means except fluorine, he will oxidize everyone to their highest oxidation state. So, PbS, sulfur from -2 get oxidized to +6. From minimum to the highest, ozone did this. He converted black color PbS to white color PbSO4. And obviously, why is an oxidizing agent? Because he released nascent oxygen. And what comes out? O2 gas comes out as it is. Going ahead, what happens to I minus here? I minus becomes I2. But sir, you said it will oxidize to the highest oxidation state. He wanted to, but the pH was maintained at 9.2 to stop this further oxidation to happen. And this pH will be maintained at 9.2 by using some buffer, and that buffer is borate buffer. So at pH 9.2, I minus stops at I2. Sir, why are you stopping at I2? Why you are not letting it react? Because this reaction will be helpful for the estimation of ozone by titration. Titration is a word you have heard in the junior inter also. So what we do, we react I2 with hypo, Na2S2O3. We get Na2S4O6 and NaI. Reaction ratio is 1:2. So what we take I minus, we add ozone there, we got some I2. Then we start adding hypo drop by drop. And as soon as the end point will come, I will stop the reaction. So if I say, let us say 3 moles of hypo were required for the reaction. Let's say 4 moles of hypo were required for the reaction. So bhaiya, if 2 moles hypo, 1 mole I2, 4 moles hypo, 2 moles of I2. So for 2 mole hypo, 1 mole I2, for 4 moles hypo, 2 moles of I2 will be formed. And from the amount of I2, I'll be able to get the amount of ozone by simple stoichiometry by mole-mole concept. So we understand this reaction can be used for the estimation of ozone also. Going ahead, NO. Where NO is formed? NO is formed when N2O2 react at around 2000 Kelvin. So from where that much energy will come? That energy can come from the lightning. N2 plus O2 at 2000 Kelvin. 2000 Kelvin heat can come by lightning. Or supersonic jet releases a lot of NO. We human beings are contaminating the environment a lot. So what happens? This NO coming out from the supersonic jet, which travel more than the speed of sound, not light, If you travel more than the speed of light, Einstein uncle will become very, very angry. So understand, more than the speed of sound, ozone react with NO there to form NO2 and O2, and this is how the ozone layer is probably depleting apart from the CFC that you use. Going ahead, this reaction is not there in the NCERT but important. So mercury plus ozone, what reaction occurs when mercury reacts with ozone? We got Hg2O plus O2, and this reaction is called tailing of mercury. Tailing. What kind of tailing, sir? Simple. Dekho. Think about it. Mercury has metallic bonding. Which kind of bonding? Metallic. Metallic bond is very strong. Metals are always solid, you can see around each other. Only mercury is the liquid metal. Otherwise, all the metals are solid. So very strong bonding they have. So think in this way, mercury, they were arranged in this way. They were having a lot of attraction. When ozone come, mercury, some of the mercury remained mercury, but some mercury became Hg2O. Now Hg2O is covalent. Covalent compounds have very chadda kind of a bonding. Van der Waals interaction will be there, or maybe dipole, but not as good as metallic. So what happened previously? Mercury, they were holding each other's hand. So if you see mercury on a glass vessel, if you put mercury on a glass plate, let us say, so if the mercury will flow, it will not leave anything behind. It will flow like a kind of a sphere only. It flows like a sphere only. It does not leave anything behind. Whereas if you see water, if I flow water, wherever the water goes, it makes the path while traveling. That is just sticking to the walls of the glass. Mercury does not stick. Why? Because mercury, they are so much attracted towards each other that when they move, they don't get attracted towards the wall. They say, bhaiya wall, we don't care about you. In physics term, cohesive force is so high that adhesive force are ignored and they are happily moving ahead. But as soon as some mercury become Hg2O, what happens? Hg, Hg2O, Hg, Hg2O. So this is Hg, this is Hg2O, this is Hg. So what happens? Hg, Hg are not able to bond with each other because of the Hg2O. So because of this poor situation, this mercury that is not attracted to the mercury anymore, because in the middle Hg2O came, who does not have metallic bonding possible. So this mercury start bonding with the glass. So while moving, this mercury will be left behind and this will cause the tailing of mercury. So this tailing of mercury is because of the diffusion of Hg2O inside the mercury. These two reactions are not important but are asked in some of the tests also. So just see once. I will not tell the logic of this because it's just a waste of time, because you have to prepare for NEET examination. Not important for NEET, but anyway, in many tests you will find this kind of reaction. SnCl2 with HCl or SO2, when they completely react with ozone, never O2 gas comes out. O2 gas does not come out. Otherwise, what happens? Whenever ozone reacts as an oxidizing agent, you will see O2 gas coming out. But in the case of SnCl2 and HCl, and in the case of SO2, O2 gas finally does not come out. That means all the O2 also get consumed in these two reactions. So here O2 does not come out. And one last thing that might be helpful for you. Sometimes they ask you about H2O2 and ozone reaction. When they react to form H2O plus O2, then who is oxidizing agent, who is the reducing agent? Because H2O2 is also a well-known oxidizing agent. No second thoughts. World rank 2 versus anyone, 100% world rank 2 is going to be the oxidizing agent, except fluorine. And H2O2 act like a reducing agent for this reaction. So this was about the ozone part. So moving towards the end of this lecture, let us discuss the allotropes of sulfur here. We discussed the allotropes of phosphorus, white phosphorus, highly reactive, angle strain was there, glows in the dark, so very scary. Sometimes it glows in the dark and some gaseous compounds also come out, white smoke also come out for white phosphorus. Then we got red phosphorus, then we got black phosphorus, black was most stable. Now we are talking about allotropes of phosphorus. So there are two major allotropes. First one is known as yellow rhombic sulfur. Yellow rhombic sulfur is also called as alpha sulfur. The other one is called monoclinic sulfur. And do not fall in this trap by thinking that one of them is acid, the other is S6. They both are acid, and the acid has a structure of puckered crown-like structure. Crown-like structure is there. This is how it looks like. Now for angle comparison, make sure that you see the NCERT for this structure as well as for the structure of chair form also. Make sure that you see the NCERT ones. It's always better to see the bond angles as well whenever necessary. Now, how to prepare them? How to prepare alpha sulfur? So we take roll sulfur. Roll sulfur is the impure form of sulfur obtained from the nature, and sulfur is soluble in CS2. Why? Because CS2 is organic kind of a solvent, non-polar solvent, and like dissolves like, and sulfur is non-polar. So sulfur is soluble there. So the mixture of CS2 and roll sulfur is heated. On heating, we get alpha sulfur. Simple. Or rhombic sulfur. Now rhombic sulfur is heated. Now very tricky part comes. Rhombic sulfur is heated and is melted. What happens? After melting, let it cool down. Melt it and let it cool down. What will happen? On the top, a little bit crust will be formed. Just like the cream on the top of the milk. A little bit crust will be formed. Then take 2 fingers. Very tricky part. Don't take 1 finger, take 2 fingers. So what can I take? 3 fingers? You can take, but minimum 2 fingers. Take 2 fingers and make 2 holes there. So I'll take 2 fingers. I know it does not look like a finger, but assume it is a finger here. I'm a chemistry teacher, I'm not an artist. Even though I draw very brilliant art, I know, but it's okay. There are 2 holes I can make here. So these 2 holes, why they are required, you can understand. From these holes, I'll pour the liquid out. So then why 2 holes? 1 hole for the air to get inside so that it can push the liquid outside. Otherwise, a vacuum will be formed inside and you will not be able to get the liquid outside properly. So 2 holes I make, and from 1 hole the air is going inside and pushing the liquid outside. So pour the leftover liquid outside, remove the crust, you will get needle-like structure there, colorless needle-like structure of beta sulfur. So what happened? On heating, alpha sulfur became beta sulfur. Question arises, ki, sir, alpha sulfur is becoming beta sulfur. So at what temperature exactly is it becoming? Simple. Do you know the table of 3? Answer is yes. Table of 3 are everyone knows, sir. LKG class also we know. Simple. So 3 ones are 3, 3 twos are 6, 3 threes are 9 Kelvin. 369 Kelvin is a transition temperature. Brilliant technique to mug it up. So alpha sulfur becomes beta sulfur above 369 Kelvin. Below 369, alpha will be more. So if I take alpha sulfur, I take 369 Kelvin, 370 Kelvin, I will get more of beta. And below 369 Kelvin, more of alpha. So we can understand this is called the transition temperature. Above 369 Kelvin, above the transition temperature, beta can be more existent in the nature. Below 369 Kelvin, alpha is more existent. So we heated it, poured the liquid out, that is the impurity in the leftover alpha, and we got the needles of beta. Going ahead. Melting point, density, stability, you have to remember stability wise, alpha sulfur is more than beta, that is rhombic sulfur is more stable. So understand stability and density follow the same order. See, mugging is there in the inorganic chemistry, my job is to make it easier for you. Some things you have to remember, like stability and density in the inorganic and mathematics also you have to remember, so it's not different. A plus B whole square is A square plus B square plus 2AB. Everyone mug it up. We can derive it also, but still people mug up, na? So don't complete unnecessarily. That's why in organic chemistry mugging is there. Kuncham mugging. In these 6-7 lectures, how many things we mugged up? 2-3. Remaining to we are using the brain na yaar. Understand density, stability, how to mug up. Alpha sulfur more than beta. For melting point, opposite order. So alpha more than beta, density also alpha sulfur is more, 2.06, and beta sulfur 1.98. Whereas for melting point, beta sulfur has higher melting point and alpha sulfur has lesser. Sir, any logic? Ikada? Because alpha sulfur is melting first and beta still is a needle, so beta sulfur will have higher melting point, na? Because alpha sulfur is melting first. What would happen when the S8 is heated? S8 on heated becomes S6, which is chair form, chair-like structure. On heating around at 1000 Kelvin, you get S2. S2 is just like O2. If you remember MOT, molecular orbital theory, there is one unpaired electron in the O2 in pi star 2px and pi star 2py. In the same way, S2 is also paramagnetic, just like O2, but because he is in the third period, so the unpaired electrons are there in the anti-bonding orbitals of 3p, 1 each. So there are 2 unpaired electrons each, so paramagnetic nature S2 also have, just like O2. Very unstable species formed at only above 1000 Kelvin or around 1000 Kelvin. So this was about the allotropes of sulfur here. So we have discussed some major reactions. We entered into the reactions of the sulfur oxygen family here, and also we have discussed the allotropes of sulfur by this time, and I hope this lecture also went inside your head very smoothly, very easily, and I gave you some tasks to read from the NCERT. So we both have to work together, beta. Alone I cannot work, you also have to work. So when we both will work, we'll get very good result in the next NEET examination. Maybe I'm teaching some rank 1 also right now, and maybe you sitting right now with your notebook in your hand or with your NCERT in your hand are the next topper. So read like a topper. So thank you so much. This is Saurabh Pant signing off. All the very best. Stay home, stay safe.